MAN TGS heavy truck engine piston cracked. This time the piston really cracked.
Hello everyone. This is Master Mechanic. Today we're going to share the story of a Russian repairman, Sergey.
He's repairing the engine of a 520,000 kilometers MAN TGS heavy truck.
After successfully starting the vehicle,
you can see the oil filler cap is regularly emitting gas.
Many experienced friends see this phenomenon and would say it's leaking air.
It's not just the sound.
You can also see it through the oil filler cap.
This regular pulsating smoke phenomenon. But this is more serious than ordinary air leakage. It's directly spraying oil out. This is also with the engine running.
The engine cylinder block internal oil pressure is getting higher and higher. So this situation of spraying out occurs.
Normally, there shouldn't be this kind of regular
pulsating smoke phenomenon,
or the situation of spraying oil.
After lifting the cap,
you can see a lot of oil leakage marks on the engine block. The leakage is very serious.
Next, it's time to disassemble the engine.
First, take a look at the condition of the entire cylinder with an endoscope, because this air leakage will also be accompanied by cylinder scuffing. Basically, you can tell with the endoscope which cylinder of the engine has a problem.
He went straight into the first cylinder and found, wow.
You see, before this, I always told everyone. The endoscope's view wasn't very clear from the video's feedback.
But this time, the endoscope captured it very clearly, because the fault point is very large, although it's through two screens.
Finally, we saw it. But this time, the fault point is very, very obvious. Here you can see the crack. Then, Sergey is adjusting the probe to focus.
Here you can see the most severely damaged location.
A very large gap.
The piston has cracked directly.
This is no longer a simple air leakage fault.
Because generally speaking,
air leakage is mainly due to excessive piston ring gap.
One is the overlap of the openings, and the elasticity of the piston ring is weakened. And then, the cylinder wall is overworn. All the grooves are pulled out.
The piston ring is stuck in this ring groove.
Or the piston is out of round. Or the cylinder is out of round.
This is already perfect. Avoiding these common air leakage locations. The piston has cracked directly.
After completing the engine disassembly, all the spare parts were also inspected. The main camshaft and crankshaft can still be used. But a lot of parts are also prepared here.
This includes all the seals. Also pistons and piston rings. Also includes brand new cylinder liners.
Here is what needs to be replaced after disassembly. Cylinder liner, piston ring, and chants, and steel gasket.
I see there are also water pumps and engine flywheels over there.
Here's the new setup already. A brand new cylinder liner.
This is a wet cylinder liner. There are also some lubrication rules here. They've been pre-placed inside the engine block.
Seal rings.
There are a total of 2 O-ring rubber seals.
These are pre-installed at the bottom. Then directly push in the cylinder liner to try it, according to the official specifications.
This cylinder liner needs to be cast using a centrifugal casting method.
Wet cylinder liner.
This makes it more wear resistant. The model of this truck is MAN TGS 440D. The engine used in the vehicle is MAN D2066.
From the vehicle model and the engine, we know that the power of this engine is 440 horsepower.
This is also the maximum power of the D2066 series engines. The engine block has already been cleaned and measured.
The crankshaft was also measured before deciding to continue using it, because they were also worried that after the piston cracked,
some metal debris would enter the engine oil, causing wear on the crankshaft, camshaft, and its end caps.
After measurement, these parts can still be used. The main problem is the scoring of the engine block. It's scored. Just replace the cylinder liners.
The next step is to assemble the engine.
The crankcase part has already been installed.
The crankshaft bearings. You also need to apply some lubricating oil on this. This here is the red initial assembly oil.
I've explained this to everyone many times before.
For this kind of assembly, new engine oil or initial assembly oil is fine. because the initial assembly oil is a bit more viscous. After the engine is assembled, it needs to be stored in the warehouse for a long time. If the engine is not running, using initial assembly oil can better lubricate the mechanical parts.
When the engine needs to be started, these oils still have lubricity.
If it's brand new engine oil, you apply it to this position. It will adhere to the wall in a short time.
But over time, this oil will drip down. When you start the engine again at that time, some parts will lack lubrication.
Overheating friction occurs,
and this may damage the engine.
Some friends may not understand this. They might say, after my vehicle has been parked, and I don't drive it for a month,
will my engine also experience this overheating wear? If your engine has been started and running before, then there's no need to worry, because your oil passages are already full of lubricating oil.
The moment the engine starts,
it will drive the oil pump to operate.
At this time, the oil pump will operate at the nozzle position
to spray oil to lubricate all parts that need lubrication.
What we're talking about is spraying assembly oil. This is for situations where the engine is not started for a long time. Like some OEM factories, these engines are put directly into the warehouse after assembly. After that,
some mechanical starting will occur. Then the situation of overheating friction occurs.
Our general vehicle parking
doesn't involve this kind of overheating friction. Here, the flywheel housing is installed.
After installing this housing, is to install the engine.
The flywheel, in fact, for this engine, this part belongs to the tail. Its actual cylinder order starts from the fan section,
123,456.
The engine's firing order is 153,624. Here is the flywheel assembly for the engine. Here, he directly replaced a new flywheel.
I've talked about it with everyone in many previous videos. The function of the flywheel is
also an energy storage mechanism for the engine. At the same time, the ring gear on the outer end of the flywheel is also responsible for starting the engine. The starter motor is through the gear and the flywheel,
the outer end of the gear to combine,
and then drives the crankshaft to rotate through the flywheel. Then combustion ignition.
Here, we need to stand the engine up. When standing it up, in order to prevent damage, the flywheel housing is directly placed on wooden supports.
This can also lower the overall height of the engine.
Putting it on that workbench, it's not that we can't. We could also put it on there. It's just too high.
And when the engine is stood up, it's not safe to put it that high. Here, the pistons and connecting rods have been assembled and lubricated.
Some friends don't understand, saying,
how do you know the pistons have been reassembled? Did you notice the piston pin area?
It's also sprayed with initial assembly oil.
So, this proves that it was definitely disassembled before. Now, the piston insertion begins. Here is adjusting the opening direction of the piston rings. These three openings cannot be in a line. They must be staggered. Then apply some lubricating oil to the piston rings.
You see, when he rotates it while applying oil, he pinches all three piston rings to rotate them. And after rotating, some deviation is found. That is, the direction of the openings has some deviation again.
Then made a simple adjustment. Also apply some oil on the tensioner. Actually, a step is missing here. Normally, before inserting the piston, you should also on the engine cylinder liner spray some oil in here.
If you don't spray, just squeeze some in.
Then use a glove to smooth it out. Then proceed with the operation of inserting the piston. But he directly on the piston.
Also applies a lot of lubricating oil after pushing into the cylinder body.
It will also play a lubricating role. Let's take a look and start applying the oil now. It's also possible that at the very beginning, the oiling stage was cut out. See, the sixth one is the piston of the sixth cylinder. It's installed here very precisely.
First, apply oil to the inside of the cylinder liner.
Then push in the piston. Then apply oil to this piston ring. After applying oil, adjust the opening direction of the piston ring.
After adjusting the opening direction,
then use a ring compressor to push the entire piston into the engine cylinder block. Then tighten the connecting rod short rod.
In this tightening step,
you may see in the video that the small bearing part is not oiled. In
In fact, in the previous section, it showed the piston connecting rod end cap part had already sprayed all the parts that need lubrication. Initial assembly oil. This part is already lubricated. He didn't forget this operation.
Let's take a look at the piston condition here. The inside of the cylinder block also reflects light. The first steel piston he replaced wasn't new either.
It's from a scrap vehicle.
These used pistons can still be used, but they need to be measured before use.
They must meet certain usage standards. You can see the oil nozzles inside,
including some initial assembly oil.
This is after the bolts are tightened. Some oil will be squeezed out.
All the bolts are also marked.
The purpose of marking
is to facilitate the rotation angle after applying torque.
Regarding the topic of rotation angle,
I'll just say it simply.
Follow the operation manual.
A normal engine will have a standard maintenance manual. It will detail each position, the torque specifications for each bolt, and then the rotation angle and return angle.
As for the operation of tightening bolts,
in fact, the vast majority of repairmen don't do it well.
Except for the maintenance personnel and professional manufacturers, who will follow the standard manual, including when doing some course explanations and training. They will follow this standard.
Many of the remaining masters usually don't do it very standard, because many masters can do it now.
But you say they do it perfectly. They can't. Do you understand what I mean? The same applies at home and abroad. Sergey, that guy, is an exception. Because they also need to use videos to promote their repair shop, to attract more customers to come here for vehicle maintenance.
They don't make a living from these videos. So, some things need to be done as well as possible. Here is the cylinder head repair. The current operation is to grind the engine, the valve part of the cylinder head. What he's doing is grinding the engine valve seat. This angle completely coincides with the angle of the valve.
After lapping the valves, the valve grinding operation is also performed.
This is just the first step in cylinder repair.
In many previous videos about Sergey repairing these heavy truck engines,
there's always a discussion that domestic truck engines are not durable.
In fact, many of our domestic engines
can now achieve 1 million kilometers without major overhaul.
D2066 engine.
In our domestic localized products, it's called the MC11 engine. He measured the height of the valves here.
The height of all the valves must be consistent. He used a dial indicator to make the measurements.
He's using the base surface of the cylinder head and using it as a platform for measurement.
Directly zeroing it.
Then just read the numbers.
After grinding the valves, the next step is lapping.
But in Sergey's video, he didn't show much of the lapping process. But you should know
that after replacing the new intake and exhaust valves in the engine,
valve lapping must be done.
During this lapping process, the valves are directly pushed into the valve guides, then pressed down and held in place with a suction cup,
and use a machine to spin it. It spins like crazy. This is also to ensure the sealing of the valves.
He's using a valve spring compressor here
to install all the valve spring lock blocks.
It's also installed on the engine block. Cylinder head gasket. Next is to install the cylinder and connect it directly.
Actually, in today's video, a lot of engine module installations aren't shown in the video.
Like the external high-pressure oil pump, oil filter base,
and various guide wheels at the front of the engine. You just need to know where these are installed. What's next is to install the injector control wiring harness. is prepared the original parts. They actually have pretty high requirements for these things.
If there are no original parts,
they will also try to choose original used parts. Next, it's the installation of the camshaft. This truck has chosen an overhead camshaft setup. This cylinder head layout reduces the transmission by push-rods.
Otherwise, these things still have to go through the lifters. The lifters then pass to the push-rods,
and then to the oil baffles.
The whole travel distance is relatively long, and there will be more parts. This is equivalent to directly choosing a roller rocker arm. Here, they're installing the valve bridge, because it's a 4-valve design. 2 intake valves, 2 exhaust valves, a 4-valve layout. So when this kind of roller rocker arm presses down, it must press down simultaneously.
The two can only be connected through the valve bridge.
Look, this engine setup is quite interesting. He's adjusting the timing mechanism here. This timing mechanism connects the camshaft gear and the engines.
Flywheel gear.
There's a connection point here.
There are markings on the gears. This timing gear is different from the engines we've seen before.
Here, he's wiggling the rocker arm.
Let's see the gap.
He's not adjusting the valve clearance on camera here.
This process should have already been done.
He's starting, for so much is a ram. In this view, you can also see some of the rocker arm structure.
A roller is installed at the rear of the rocker arm,
directly with the camshaft,
rotating with its journal position to transmit. If it's those engines we saw before,
they would be transmitted through the push rod or the tappet.
The rocker arm doesn't have this roller setting. Here, the cylinder head cover is installed. The entire engine has been assembled. Are you all looking forward to starting this engine?
But I have to tell you, don't expect it.
There's no engine starting process.
There's nothing we can do.
So friends with OCD, please bear with it.
Here, I also hope friends who like the video
can like and comment more.
See you next time. Thank you, friends, for watching.
I can't.
They all there? No?
No, what goods? Nice to.